I know who I am. I'm a playing the dude disguised as another dude.
Strength and honor, strength and honor, strength and honor.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Why so serious?
I could crush you, let go what him. At my signal, unleash hell.
Do or do not. There is no try.
All right, hey everyone, and welcome to Christian Warrior Talk, episode number 35. Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a great weekend.
Hello.
We sure did.
We did.
Yeah, we had a blast.
We went road tripping.
Hung out with some new Christian brothers and sisters. It was epic and a really good time. Boone was a great city, and we'll get into all that. But I decided, after talking to one of my friends, to start off with a prayer and then close out with one. So let's start with a prayer to begin. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come to you now, and we ask you bless this time of fellowship, that you give us the wisdom, the words, and the charisma to reach people out there, and that that something impactful happens with our audience tonight. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
So, so if you guys don't know, we were in Boone, North Carolina this weekend, spending some time with my friends. What a beautiful place.
Yeah, it is really pretty.
I mean, in the wettest, ugliest month ever, it was still really pretty. And we noticed a big difference between the water.
Yeah, the mountain streams and mountain rivers are, we're in Virginia right now. We're used to the brown,
disgusting
water.
looking water. Like you drive by the reservoir and you're like, oh my God, people drink
and
that.
Clear mountain stream water is just gorgeous. And
Yeah.
a lot of the drive-in, you're right along next to this beautiful river.
Yeah.
I don't know the classifications of river versus creek
River,
versus
stream, or whatever. But whatever.
But
it
it's
was
pretty,
all beautiful.
whatever it was.
Yeah. It was all beautiful. The views were all great. The weather did not cooperate with us as much as we wanted to. It rained a lot.
Sunday, we got a treat because it was supposed to rain on Sunday, and it
broke for us.
actually cleared out. So we were able to appreciate the view a little bit more on the way out than we were the way in.
Yeah, so, I'm really impressed with the area from Johnson City, Tennessee, all the way to Blowing Rock.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to choose from a prepper perspective, I would definitely be choosing Tennessee over North Carolina, just because North Carolina is a battleground state. Tennessee is way redder.
politics.
And the cost of living appears like cheaper in Tennessee. The housing prices appear to be cheaper over there. In North Carolina, they seem to be higher depending on the area. And, but again, if you were not taking, and also Boone is a blue, it's North Carolina. Some would call it North Carolina Charlottesville, and I would not call it that. I would call it Asheville, North Carolina Charlottesville.
From what I've heard. Yeah.
And but it's still very, very, very blue, which of course, is a non-starter for us. But
yeah, there seems to be a lot of surrounding areas that are nice that have access to that. There are some parts of it that reminded me, like when we were in the Smoky Mountain area, the Gatlinburg and surrounding areas, that feeling that I talked about, that's not my preference of, when you're so up in the mountains, it's hard to get perspective on things because you're kind of so enclosed on it. And then there was other areas as you were driving
it's
around
claustrophobic.
That appealed to me more, but it's a beautiful, beautiful area. So there's certainly a lot of opportunity around there. The right place can be found for sure.
I definitely would want access to Boone. The restaurant scene there was great, and Blowing Rock is, it's all cute and pretty and amazing views everywhere. You just can't really beat it. But from from the Christian warrior perspective / which means, prepper perspective / wanting your freedoms, your second amendment, your freedom of speech,
Christian influences
and
in
Christian
school
influences in the
systems
school. You're not going to find that as much in Boone as I think you will in a lot of places in Tennessee, in the deep red Tennessee.
But I think a lot of the native people there are your Christian conservatives.
Oh, they are.
You
It's
know,
just
so as far as that, it's the school, the college influence, which unfortunately can start to take over more and more, especially if
look what happened to Charlottesville,
Exactly.
right? Charlottesville, everyone came here. It's so beautiful, and then they stayed. So they get brainwashed into being a liberal, and they're a liberal university. And then they're like, wow, this place is great. And then more and more and more stay.
Yeah.
And then your red town goes purple to deep blue.
Our hostess was commenting. She's part of, she joined one of the Facebook book groups for the college just so that she could, like yard sale stuff, so she could sell things online. But also because it's a college group, she sees a lot of commentary in there, and she says just the politics and the opinions that are said from people who are part of the college, she's just like, it's gross.
Yeah, I'm sure. But overall, like I said, that's definitely the area that I think I'm sure we're going to. So barring any major events, something like that, I think that's where we're going to. And again, our house is supposed to be going on sale on Friday.
Say prayers. That I think we'll need to include that in our prayers.
Yeah.
So all you prayer warriors, pray that we light the fire, because if you could see where the state of the house is right now,
not so much.
You might say Friday next week, right? Or Friday. We'll get there. Candace, if you're listening, we'll get there. We promise.
So anyways, I just can't say enough about the area, how much I did like. We went through Mountain City, and I was really hoping for more from Mountain City. It was bigger than I thought, from the drive-thrus that I've watched online.
We sit on the main drag, which really is not, there's not much on the main drag, but I don't know if there's any little parts of town that kind of go off of it. But we didn't explore that much. I think that the one that we have not seen yet, we've seen Johnson City, and now we've seen Mountain City, and Elizabethton is kind of like right in the middle, and it also seems to be a step up in size from Mountain City, but not the college town of Johnson City. So that might be I'm
hoping that's going to be a good fit. And it's near a really good lake. Mm-hmm. I guess a 500-foot deep lake. But anyways.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Pretty cool.
So our host was saying how great it was. So,
awesome.
that 500 feet, that sounded like Maine lakes to me. And I'm like, that means clean water.
Yeah, that's some good water.
Just so rare in the South, because everything's like algae ridden and gets so warm that it just gets,
You do get a lot still in that area. You get a lot of the mixed kind of you're driving along, falling apart trailer, really nice house.
Yeah.
Trailer,
junkyard.
Beautiful house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard to find an area that is consistently a feel that you'd be comfortable, like your kid walking around the street by themselves or something, potentially. But it's out there for sure. Yeah.
So let's talk about what you really want to talk about now. Trump's speech. Holy smokes. Trump's speech was on fire. I mean, he named names. He called them out on what it was. He put it to him. It was, it was great stuff.
I think his first question was a good one. Do you miss me?
Did you miss me yet?
Yep.
Yeah, we miss him every second of every day. I mean, holy smokes. Did you hear the curse word California came out? What? Did I hear the curse word California come out of your mouth? The state is in a disgrace.
California,
no. I would never go to California, brother. I don't even visit California. No,
Carolina?
We're going
North Carolina?
No,
is that where you're?
Yeah, no. We're looking at Tennessee, William. We're not Tennessee, maybe North Carolina border of Tennessee, but that's
California would be an over his dead body kind of move.
I wouldn't be going to California unless never. So.
Unless a miracle happens.
Yeah, unless
he doesn't even like to go there.
Unless Jesus was
business trips.
Came down and went to California, I wouldn't be.
Then you'd go to California.
Then I'd go to California. Other than that, no, and not the dudes that look like Jesus there. The wannabes, no,
Yuppie
the real
wannabes.
one. Yeah. So, anyways, the hipsters that roll around there. But Trump's speech was just absolutely awesome. He said, he started the campaign against all of those who voted to impeach him. He went after Cheney hard. He went after Mitt Romney hard. He went after all of them hard. It was great. And, people, all this talk about unity in the Republican Party, there's only one way to have unity in the Republican Party, and it's to get rid of these rhinos. We have to declare open season on rhinos and get rid of them out of the party, kick them to the curb, adios, don't want you, never have an office. I'd rather have a Democrat in there.
Well,
At least I know what they are. They're not going to pretend and then flip on you and stab you in the back. And then say, look, it's a bipartisan deal. You've got Susan Collins on it, the one, awesome Maynard girl who just decides to betray us every time. Except for once, Brett Kavanaugh, the one thing she did.
well, that's a good one to not betray you on.
Yeah.
I thought it was good that he shut down the splitting the party up.
Yeah, the Patriot Party.
narrative.
I know a lot of SEAL guys really got on this Patriot Party thing. It makes no sense. You can't win by splitting your vote.
No.
We just have to get, Godfather style and clean the family. That's literally what we do. We're going to need to clean out the family right now. And not saying violence. I'm talking about,
Voting them
out and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, you probably shouldn't use that reference.
I'm just, yeah, but I mean.
Hi, Darren.
Hey, Darren, good to see you, brother. There's our host, man. Good to see you. So yeah, we really have to roll in and primary every one of these guys. And now's the time to get bold. Like, primary season's already started.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It has already started. Think about that for the 2022.
That's gross.
Right? It's already started.
Who's excited to
And
get back into politics?
We need to be involved. It sucks, and that's how we got in this mess. 'Cause nobody wants to do the politics. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to do any of that. And this is part of what we're going to talk about later, which is mentoring, right? I've got a saying, ABM, always be mentoring. And that's one of the things, that's our how-to segment tonight, which is an intro into how to mentor, which includes how to pick who you're going to mentor and go on from there. So again, we have, Trump nailed his speech. I thought he was great. I thought he was funny. A lot of it was just retread from a lot of his other things, but everyone missed him. And it was great to have somebody fearless back on the stage. But there was other people there. Christy, I'll tell you who the ticket that I want. And I'm probably going to upset some of my Trump base, but I would love to see Rob DeSantis and Kristi Noem. I think that ticket right there is unbeatable. Yeah. I would love to see Kristi Noem as the first female president.
She certainly seems like she'd be on the track to deserve it.
But let's not kid ourselves. There's no way Biden finishes 4 years. So Kamala Harris will be that.
The first voted in
Yes.
female president.
But all about. What's up, Steven? Hey, Steven, how'd your gear come? We saw you put it in order. I hope all your stuff came to you that you ordered, and I hope it looks good, and I hope you like it. Hey, Borat, good to see you. Again, Kristi Noem and DeSantis, I think, would be the great ticket right now. But a lot can change in 4 years. I know that people were talking about Don Jr. I would vote for Tucker Carlson in a second. If I thought Tucker Carlson would run, I would love him. He'd win every debate. He'd mop the floor with everyone. And I think he has a really good idea, but I don't think he'll risk it.
I don't think that he will.
Yeah, he's not going to leave his stuff.
I think he's
Love the shirt. Nice.
Awesome.
Nice,
Steven, I don't know if you watched on Friday, but we strengthened
We
honored
strengthened
you
honored you on
for your
Friday
support.
for your
We
support
appreciate
buying
it.
the shirt. Everyone who's got one has loved them. They're great, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. So anyways,
So I know that when we were driving when we were listening to Trump, and we were listening to some of the commentary on Fox prior to waiting for Trump to start. And it took about 2 minutes of you listening. You haven't watched Fox in a long time. And about 2 minutes of it, and your blood was boiling about all these people.
I just want to know what it takes to be a Fox News contributor. Has anyone on there ever been right?
No.
Particularly when it comes to the
recently.
conservative party. Yeah. Like the Republican Party, there is a bunch of people on there who have no idea what they're talking about anymore. Yeah. Like, Karl Rove doesn't know how to win an election anymore.
Well,
None of them. They're all old school.
Back. Yeah, that's one
they're
of
all trying to run a campaign like it's 2008.
I just thought it was hilarious, the comments, and it was multiple of them, about how, how Trump was speaking so soon. It's not becoming of the former president to speak so soon.
Meanwhile,
in a new administration. It's like, was he given that grace? I don't think so. So why are you even bringing it up? It's just
when he was in president, they had already spied on him and were already trying to arrest him and impeach him and trap him. And
he owes Biden the courtesy of not saying anything.
Exactly,
yeah, right.
Darren. All Bush retreads, and I spent my entire life, a vast portion of I'm so used to saying this back in the day, defending the Bush family, and I can't do it anymore. They're deep state as the deep state gets. They are New World Order, and that doesn't mean they don't have some good parts of them, but I believe they truly sold us out. And
because I remember, meeting you and talking about your time in the military and all of that, and you speaking about how great it was to serve under Bush, and that's a large part of what kind of made you respect him and everything. And then when he flipped against Trump and all of that, and you kind of saw this other side of him, I certainly saw that disappointment.
That was when I was still an innocent, blind patriot. Where I still, I still believed in nation building and the whole Bush doctrine. Which I don't agree with any of it anymore. So here's a little fact, people. War is not supposed to be clean, civil, without collateral damage. If you want to know how war is supposed to be, this book tells you everything you need to know about everything, including war. And war is supposed to be so horrific and so costly and so disgusting and repulsive that you never want to do it. And that's how they waged it in the Bible. They killed every man, woman, and child. They did everything. It was horrible. Because you should not enter war every other day like the Democrat Party seems to want to do.
Yeah, and it's flippantly,
it's like, oh yeah, we'll just do this and that, and we'll just keep the military-industrial complex, well fed, because that's who they invest in, and that's how they get all their money.
I had never, in my innocent little bubble mind, I didn't realize kind of the amount of money that people make from war, and that. Realizing that so much of what we are in as a country and so many lives lost just because there's some greedy people out there who, the machine wants to be fed. It's tragic. It's really sad to realize that and know that it's the truth.
Yeah. Well, and to go back to the pundits on Fox, is there any, outside of Tucker Carlson, is there anything redeemable? Well, Pete Hegseth. The Fox and the Friends, I have nothing against Fox and Friends people there. I think they're all great people. I think they'd be great neighbors. I don't have any issues with them. But the rest of that channel, Sean Hannity, I like Sean Hannity, but I've never learned anything from Sean Hannity. Whereas every time I watch Tucker Carlson, I learn something. And that's challenging, man. For somebody to be that good and that in depth to put stuff up, but their pundits are just terrible. They don't get anything right. They don't understand the American people. I don't know if they haven't been outside of D.C. in a long time, but D.C. is not America.
Well, a lot of them are in New York as well, but
it is the oldest cash cow. That used to be how you gain wealth. Sadly, sort of still as it is. Dan Bongino's great, but he's not on there really anymore. Bongino's kind of made
a sub-host or a guest a lot.
I love Dan Bongino. I think he's great. I don't have any problems with anything he says. I like him, and my prayers are with him, and I hope he beats his cancer and all that stuff. So, but it's just terrible. That Fox News has gone so bad and so south, and that they haven't learned anything. I took a solid break, guys. I haven't listened to them, but I wanted to listen to CPAC, and that's the only thing on Sirius XM that I could find that was broadcasting it. And I had to keep turning it down because I got tired of them bashing Trump and every single one of them trying to blame the whole world on Trump. And let's Nikki Haley.
I was
Oh my
literally just going to
God.
bring her up.
Like,
yeah.
Can you think of a bigger phony than she is? She's flip-flopped more times. Like, do they like Trump today? Oh my God, Trump's the best. Oh wait, Trump is terrible.
And it's such a bummer because she seemed like such a
That's somebody I
strong
was rooting
individual
for.
in the beginning.
She's what we thought she was Kristi Noem.
Yeah.
But Kristi Noem is Kristi Noem.
Yeah.
Kristi Noem didn't back down from Trump. Kristi Noem has fought Fauci and the COVID lockdowns and has gone on there and taken heavies.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
so Nikki Haley had just distanced herself from Trump with this whole sixth and everything, and now she's coming out, and complimenting the speech and all of that, and I'm sure it's because of the straw poll results that he got, and she's like, 90-something% still support him.
I think she'd
back
be a
on the
good.
train.
I think she'd be a good dog catcher. That's about all I would vote for right now. But even then, are pit bulls allowed? No.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so tired of people with no convictions. The other person I wouldn't mind as president is Rand Paul. And like I said, I've did a whole show apologizing to him.
Who's the man behind you with the knife?
I don't know. They're trying to get us to look behind us.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like what's on our set that
Yeah,
that looks like that.
I'm staring right at us right now. So, and
nope, don't. Nope.
What?
Nope. What are you doing? Don't pull it out.
I'm just saying. There you go.
You can't have that out on air.
What out on there?
Okay.
Paperweight.
Paperweight.
Paperweight in the shape of a firearm.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Thanks for the tangent.
Yeah. But all in all, I like the CPAC. I thought that there was some intensity in there, particularly towards the end. The opening days was a little rough. I love paperweights. Me too. Paperweights that have the most weight in them tend to be the best. I'll leave it at that. Lead works well, but I mean, it got me excited. I know that we just took a lot of losses, right, guys? I mean, we just got our clock cleaned, but I believe the Lord's at work right now, and I think we all need to get involved. The days of just having a champion like a Trump who just takes all the hate for us and does it all for us. We had that, and we didn't fight hard enough for him. So now I think we all need to get involved, and we need to get involved in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, gets down to mentoring.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
But the other thing is, look at Cuomo is imploding, this is like the most satisfying thing ever, watching Democrats descend on him with knives and forks.
It's the feeding frenzy
who hasn't turned their
started.
back on him now? I only hope that they suck down Fredo with him from CNN.
Yeah.
I would love to see him lose his show and be embarrassed for the months-long PR boost that he got out there with them hanging around, joking around while they're killing seniors and violating the lockdown and everything else. I mean, just the ultimate hypocrisy.
Think, are they going to revoke his Emmy?
Oh, I don't know.
And what about his book deal? I mean, all of the stuff that he garnered from this whole.
Yeah,
I hope
his book doesn't get published.
Yeah.
He gets his Emmy revoked. I think what Trump should change is his insults, but he is a good president. Yeah, I think Trump could do well if he cleaned up his language. I still want him to shoot truth, but then again, I don't know, man. Like, I think about the suburban female voters who betray us every election and literally cost us every Republican race just every time because they don't like someone's personality. They don't understand their daughters are never going to have a scholarship or a sport that they can ever compete in again. They don't understand that there is nothing special about being a woman anymore.
Yeah.
There was an amazing post. You got that post?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Bring that up. This is epic. This girl, I don't know who she is. She's from Australia. That's all I saw.
Yeah.
And she crushed it.
Well, she puts a lot out. So her name is Sydney Watson. And it looks like she's on Twitter and Instagram. So go follow her because there's some very entertaining content on her page. But so she put out a couple tweets saying, people don't get periods, women do. People don't get pregnant, women do. People don't breastfeed, women do.
Chest feed.
Being female is not a feeling. It isn't frilly dresses, high heels, long hair, and makeup. I'm sick of seeing my sex erased and trivialized to accommodate everyone else. I don't care how people identify or what they choose to do with their own money behind closed doors, but stop telling females that all the things that are unique and special to us can apply to everyone. They can't and they don't. It's offensive and demeaning.
Yep. That's a slam dunk right there. Like,
very true.
Yeah. So Salty Sam said, evil always eats itself, just have to survive long enough to watch it happen. That's 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100% true. And then Darren asked, who fills the void?
So that's for Cuomo.
That's for
out.
Cuomo.
And
I don't know enough
you
about
had an interesting theory earlier with AOC.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great, if, I guarantee you, like,
that Pelosi would prop her up to be governor just to get her out of her own hair.
Just to get her out of her hair so she doesn't have to deal with her anymore.
Yeah.
Put her back into local
Oh,
politics.
New York, wouldn't you love that?
Yeah. They could drive away all the
Rules by
business just like they
AOC.
did with Amazon. Or was it Apple or Google? Was it Amazon?
I think it was Amazon.
Yeah. So, and then Ali said he is not submitted person. That's why the media want to show a bad image of him using his bad language and sexual scandals. Yeah, of course, man. I mean, the media has been after Trump for forever. Well, they loved him until he ran for president. And what's crazy, and Darren, who's on here, and I were talking about this, is that if there was one Republican president that the Democrats could have found the most in common with, it would have been Trump. Because he's not an ideologue. He would have reached across the aisle, and they could have done great things, but a Republican would have won then. And they just couldn't let that happen. And he was so masculine and so toxic that they just had to hate him.
Just threatening to the institution that they have in place.
Yeah.
So that they're all very comfortable with.
But it's, when we look back, we could have gotten a lot done. Infrastructure. I mean, the guy's a builder by trade.
Yeah.
Like,
it's incredible
so
what he
stupid.
accomplished with all of the significant
what he was able
to,
what he was able to accomplish.
And that's why it's so sad. I mean, just all the executive orders that have just completely undone everything that he fought so hard for. And it's just like,
and even the ones that most of them don't even make sense. It's just to spite Trump.
Exactly.
It's just to spite Trump. But the only one who's going to pay is the American people. So I saw today that a leading Biden administration official, this is from the Epoch Times, I believe, said that Biden is going to make a move on reparations for slavery without Congress to try to win back the black vote. We're going to pay people to stay home now for reparations.
Yeah, I'm
pay
curious what the dollar amount is on that.
Yeah, it's just,
And it's just, is it every black person?
Yeah, who knows?
The way that everyone got the stimulus.
I'm just saying that, now that trans is something out there, why are we discriminating? You can be transsexual, you can be male or female. Why can't I be whatever race I want to be?
You'd think that you would be able to. I thought that was the hypocrisy with the Rachel Dolezal thing when she was outed as a fake black person. That's where they get all up in arms because it's, a minority and people but it's like, why, as a female, we fought so hard to be where we are now in society and men can just come and waltz in and say we're female, that's what does it say about what it took to get to where we are? So, I mean, but their logic always falls apart. So
there is no logic to what they do. It's all 100% emotion.
Yeah.
Everything they do is emotion. Yeah. It was Chris Scott just said, woohoo, Chris, you're getting free money, man. Yeah, I know. It's going to start with free historically black colleges, which whatever, you know. So that's how they start getting college being free, because it'll start with them, and then it'll start migrating across the board to everyone. And now we're all paying for people to go drink and do whatever on the weekends, and go to class and not do anything. So it's sad. So, anyways, I thought that was absolutely a travesty. And I wonder how that's going to sit with all those suburbanite women sitting at home.
I saw
traders.
a I don't know where it went, but there's been 2 like motions, what I don't know what it was, but a lot of signatures. One was a bunch of women initiated it, and then I think it's also been backed by a group of men that stay-at-home moms should be paid a couple $1,000s a month or something like that to be compensated for their work as moms.
Wow.
And you know that the work of motherhood should be recognized. You know, and I mean, so it's kind of like, I mean, if we're gonna start paying people for,
I don't have a problem with a lot of this stuff if we had money falling out of our eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like if we were, instead of not being, if we were in we weren't in trillions of debt, and we had trillions in surplus. I'm all for all these things. I'm all for helping and being generous to everyone. I'm all for whatever. But the problem is that we are borrowing money and we just give it back to China. Yeah. We're borrowing money to give it to China and everyone else. And we just, like, China gets, what is it, emerging? What's the term I'm looking for? It's like preferential treatment in all the trade deals and all the Paris Accord and all this stuff. It's an emerging civilization. There's a word for it. Somebody's going to throw it on there for me, and I'm going to feel stupid for not being able to think of it. They're the number 1 economy in the world, basically. Yeah. They're funding everybody. They're the superpower now. If you think America's a superpower, you missed it, man. We're not anymore. We're a joke. We're freaking bankrupt. We're bankrupt. We're divided. And now all we care about is freaking where you go to the bathroom and what. I mean, it's just so stupid.
And paying people for slavery.
And paying people for slavery when there isn't anyone who's even alive who even knew anyone was.
Yeah.
So, just insane. So let's go back here. He is the only president who don't generate wars. Obama does provocateur wars, and Bush and Clinton does too. He generate work for the middle class, so he was the president of the hardworking class. Absolutely agree. Ali, we are massive Trump fans here. I just don't know how he's going to hold up for another 4 years. I mean, he was looking pretty rough during that last campaign season. My heart was going out to him when he was busting his butt doing all those things. Yeah. And he's so hardworking. I just don't know how he's going to do that at 78.
I think it's going to be a mistake if people just cling so hard onto him and only him.
Yeah, it's the MAGA movement.
If anyone else that steps in, that they won't support him.
Yeah, it can't be the Trump movement. It's got to be the MAGA movement.
Yeah. So I think people
America
with a strong
first.
record of being consistent supporters of his, I think that's where someone can come in and fill those shoes.
Yeah, he's a cyborg. All right, so let's get into some of the deeper stuff I wanted to talk about. Basically, evangelism, and I also wanted to get into, my form of evangelism is not sitting on the street corner and shouting scripture at people and horrifying and scaring everyone. It's not getting on TV and telling everyone to send in money. The TV evangelist preachers. It's not any of that. For me, it's all relational and it's mentoring. It's, like I said, always be mentoring. And for so long, long, America has been the number 1 Christian country in the world. And we have been blessed because of that. And during that time, America has sent its best, its brightest, and unlimited amount, or, countless resources. I don't want to say unlimited, but countless resources out of America into Africa, South America, China, and all around the globe. And we have neglected our foundation. America is barely a Christian country if it was. And then that depends on how you even define Christianity. Joel Osteen is, I don't know what you call that.
Yeah.
Right? And all these other watered down rainbow unicorn churches out there where they don't respect the Bible. They don't teach the Bible. They don't do anything. So we spent so much time trying to win people over by giving them water and food.
Yeah. So
That-
this is sending
Missionaries and
the
resources.
church is sending missionaries
all around the world. Now, it's an all the above approach.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do some of that, but I'd much rather see them in Detroit,
Yeah.
Chicago. You know,
Yeah, I know that's been your beef with so many of these churches that we go and try out, and they always talk about their missionary programs and ask people to fundraise and pray for these people, and a lot of them are going to Germany, France, these countries that they're doing okay themselves, and it's such a waste of that. Not a waste, because they're going to be impacting people. But if that talent and that passion for Christ could go to our streets, if you look at the poverty and the people who do not know Jesus in our own country, we could so use that here. And so,
without a doubt,
but it's not sexy to say I'm going to missionary in Detroit versus I'm going to go be a missionary in Nigeria or whatever.
Right. Or Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've heard of France.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? I'm glad you want to go on a European vacation. That's all great.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you here? Because, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound terrible, but, well, I'll start with, for who much is given, much is expected.
Mm-hmm.
And Americans have the ability to reach more people than anyone right now. Like literally almost anyone right now. So how America goes is how the world is going to go right now. And if we could just get America strong and Christian again, the world would be a much better place. And unfortunately, the big organizations out there, I don't think are looking inward. They're looking outward. And they're looking at, it's so much easier to convert an entire village when you can offer them food and water instead of going into Berkeley, California, or wading into maybe not the left armpit of secularism, but maybe going into some of these more moderate colleges, like Turning Point USA is doing. Like Charlie Kirk and these guys, they're literally changing hearts and minds. They are the new evangelists of conservatism. But Charlie's a Christian. He's a recent Christian, but he's a Christian. He's out there evangelizing on campuses.
And we spoke last Friday, I believe it was, about the black pastor in, was he Detroit? Chicago.
Yeah.
Doing a similar thing, going into the hood and, setting up camp there. And so he's reaching those people and converting them and impacting their lives in a positive way, which, then helps all the people that they're in relationship with. So whether it's the college campus, there's different sectors and different people will be appropriate for different environments. But there are so many opportunities here to reach people who right now are kind of defaulting to the liberal left.
Yeah. So let's get into, how to mentor and, or an intro to mentoring. And, this is a part of probably an unlimited length series because it's going to evolve as we learn. I don't know everything there is about mentoring.
You're darn good at it, though.
Well, I appreciate that. But the first thing you have to do is you have to choose who you're mentoring, right? And you can't start mentoring people you don't have a relationship with.
William, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's our goal. So thank you for sharing that.
William, thank you so much, brother.
So for
you just made all this worth it.
The YouTube crowd, he said, due to both of your mentoring on your show, I've started reading the Bible again, and I'm getting so much more this time through than I did before. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, incognito, I don't know if you came here to stir up or what, but I'm not saying that America is going to be my future nation. Everything has led to and be the end of all existence and all the countries are lesser. Never said any of that stuff. I don't know what you're talking about, but right now, currently, the country that historically has had the most influence is that. So again, I don't know where you're getting that from, but right now, we are literally the most Christian country on the planet. So I don't know.
Well, I know a lot of people wonder whether America is referenced at all in the Bible.
They say it's not, and that's fine. That doesn't mean anything, right? we don't know if the rapture and the end times are coming tomorrow or in 6,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 years. And no one knows. Only the Father knows.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So again, we need to be a force for good and we need to be a force for God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. To Google it. Google it. Who has the most Christians? It's 100% the U.S. All right, I'm done. All right, so for mentoring, okay? Now, when it comes to mentoring, you want to choose people who you have a relationship with, right? Going out there in the corner and handing out Bibles, you may reach some people that way, but the more profound effect you have, what I find, particularly with a lot of seeker-friendly churches, they get you on this little on-ramp into Christianity, and then you're saved, and then you're like, good luck, peace out, see ya, and that's, you want to plant some deep roots, and you want to arm them with the knowledge to be able to defend their faith.
Yeah.
Right. And, so when you start mentoring and you start working with, someone, it's a commitment, right? When you choose your apprentice or who you're going to mentor, it's a commitment. It's 3:00 in the morning phone calls if you have it. It's, oh my God, my child or my mother or whatever died. Mm-hmm. You are the disciple in their world. All right. So that means that you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. Mm-hmm. If you I see these people out there, they're freaking messes, right? If you suck at life and you're a Christian and you expect people to follow you, no one's going to follow you. You're a disaster. Get your stuff, get your own house in order before you start trying to tell other people how to live. Go ahead.
I agree with that. That is certainly the ideal, that you've squared yourself away. I think being that a lot of people are still struggling with stuff, and it's okay. That's, an accepted fact as a Christian, but you can still be grounded enough in your faith. I think it's equally important and equally valuable for the person that you're mentoring to also see you say, kind of own up to what you're going through and saying this, you might be seeing this in me. I'm still getting angry, or I still swear, or I still whatever. I am still, and teach them how you're working through that. Yeah. So it's not hypocrisy in that they see it and that you don't address it, but it's okay if it
you
happens.
have to be 100% transparent, right? But what I'm saying is, if you're a complete mess, you have no business mentoring anyone. Yeah. You gotta find a mentor.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's where you learn.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now, I've been lucky. I've had some of the best in the business, which is why, I've been able to pull my head out of my behind. But again, you have to have a relationship with the people. You have to walk the walk. You have to be the shining light in the room or in their life to say, there's something that guy or gal has, and I want to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. And if you're the one who's, the most broken person there, and you're, the most, like I said, the wreck, no one's going to follow that. So that's my main point.
Yeah, so Darren just said the mentor is the conduit or hollow pipe between God and the person you're helping. God works through you.
Yep.
It's a good visual.
So the other thing I want to talk about is that transparency, which is your testimony. All right. Mm-hmm. All of us have messed up in life, and all of us have done, I've done horrible things. I was a complete knucklehead. I can't think of a commandment I didn't break. I was an absolute dirtbag until Jesus found value in me and made me who I am today. And that's not fun to talk about. And there was a time when I was still broken, working through it, where I still had some emotional ties to some things, and now I'm just ashamed of it all. I look backwards. If I dare to look back into the abyss of what my life was, it was an empty disaster that I just, a lost, thrashing, raging, animal that I'm so glad that my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ found value in me, pulled me out, and has put me on the path where I am today. And I am 1,000% happier. Mm-hmm. I have the most full, amazing. All right, I'm all set. Actually, Jesus pretty much did tell people who sucked at life. So
I think it's, I mean, so no, they're not turned away, but they are, you can be told that you have areas that you need to work on
yeah.
and be shown how to work at it. And I don't know if it's just that he misunderstood what you were saying about kind of mentoring. And it's just that if you are still sucking at life, if you are still a wreck, that doesn't mean that you're not a Christian and that you're not trying to be better, but that's not the time for you to be trying to mentor others. That's the time that you
Well, and
need
that's
to
what he
find a
was
mentor.
talking about with the Pharisees and you vipers, you brood of snakes, you all these other things. So again, everyone thinks that Jesus just said everyone was great. That is not true. Jesus called out lies all the time.
Yeah.
And hypocrisies all the time. That's what he did. He was there to bring truth.
Well, and it's the kind of judgment is love, and telling
It's tough love.
It's tough love, and it's think about how you parent your own child, and you're going to guide them and tell them when they're wrong and messing up and show them. So, it's all out of love, but it has to happen. Your kids can't go through life thinking that they're the bee's knees and that they never do anything wrong.
No, and all of us are imperfect.
Yeah.
Right? So we all need tuning up. And we all need to be called out. And that's why you need to hang around in person with fellow Christians, right? Because they are going to notice when you stray off the paths, they got your six. It's like being in a SEAL platoon. You can't watch everywhere. Everyone's got their spot. Everyone's got their angle. Everyone's got their area of responsibility around you. And you can't see all the way around you. You can't see 360 or 720, right? So having those solid believers around you is going to help that. Now, that being said, I don't think you should always be only with, you should be mentoring and you should be pulling in people into that group.
Yeah.
But what I see people do sometimes is they put themselves at risk and they go into sin's den. And in sin's den, you're taught to flee from sin, right? And some strong Christians can go into sin's den and minister in there and be unaffected, but and then coming back out. But there is particularly if you're a new Christian, particularly if you don't have a solid foundation, particularly if you don't have solid mentors and brothers and sisters and a support network around you. I do not recommend that. I recommend that you...
Yeah, so a former drug addict working with drug addicts or a former alcoholic working with alcoholics. And, I mean, there are certainly many examples of people out there, CRD, at Calvary Chapel in Bangor, that those people who have truly found healing through Jesus, they can then go and take that to the very people that are living a life that they used to live without falling back into it. But if they don't have that grounding yet, then that is risking their own recovery.
Yeah, and I think I've started this point here. I was trying to get to the testimony part, so I don't know. I don't think I talked about that.
No, you got into you started off on don't hide it, even if it's a even if it's a hard story.
Your testimony can be a dark, embarrassing thing, but it's not yours. It's God's. And, I can't say this clear enough to you guys. Your testimony isn't for you. It's healing when you have your testimony and you catalog it, and it's always changing because your life keeps evolving and you keep, in your walk with Christ, you're going to talk about every mile of the way. And as you gather more miles, your testimony is going to continue. Your story or your saga continues. Yeah. But it's for everyone else out there who is going through something similar, that if you can get up there and say that Christ helped you and that you made it through it, you're a shining example to them.
Yeah.
And hopefully they come and seek you out, and now's your chance to mentor and evangelize.
Yeah.
And so again, I can't say that clear enough to you guys. Humble yourself to show your bumps, your bruises, your warts, your scars, your failures, because far more people are going to relate to you being that way than you being this polished, archon of justice up there on stage or whatever, and you just become totally unrelatable then.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people think of kind of their testimony as a kind of I'll share this at one point in time. But I think the more powerful version of it is, as you said, your story is continually evolving, and I think it's sharing those moments of evolution with people. So like my personal recent example is kind of the video and sharing about the miscarriage, and that is the next little chapter in my testimony, and just sharing that piece. I got so many comments and messages, and people saying, "I'm going through this right now. I'm so thankful that I found this video, and thank you." And I'm so blessed by that, and so grateful that obviously
God used you.
I didn't want to have that experience, but I felt very affirmed in sharing that, so that other people could benefit from it. And I think that is, as you said, that's what your testimony is there for.
Right. And the great thing is there's no end to where that can help people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And where it goes from there. So again, sharing your bumps and bruises, your scars, and getting vulnerable with the people you are, because everyone's going to have a wall up.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw this when we were doing active shooter training, and there's a lot of political content in there, that you got to get vulnerable, and you got to show them that they can get vulnerable with you. And that's why the model that AA started as a Christian-based platform is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
They all get up there and they all admit they suck.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then they say where they're at, and they talk about their struggles, and everyone else there can relate and say, that's somebody else going through with me. And that it just brings a level of camaraderie and genuineness. And I think, that's the only way to do it, though the most effective way to do it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other stuff out there. So who are you choosing? Right. So right now, every one of us has people in our life. It may be your spouse. It may be your son. It may be your daughter. It may be your mom. It may be your dad. Mm-hmm. It may be whoever. And we talked, I think on Friday, we were toasting, and everyone chose someone who they were going to mentor in the program. Some people did. Some people were too shy to put in the comments. But I recommend everyone, if you can, you don't have to say their name, but you can put their initials. You can put whatever you want in the chat. Relationship, who they are. Choose right now, again, in your mind, who you're going to do. And these are the things I want you to consider, right? Sometimes bringing someone new to the faith is not your best use of time. Sometimes it's firming up somebody who's new on the path, right? This is that, I talked about how that, a lot of churches on-ramp someone and they're on their own. So particularly if you get somebody who's on fire for Christ, right? They're new believers and they can't get enough. That is your time to seize that ground in their heart and arm them with the truth, and to put them on the path, to turn them on to your favorite resources, right? So that's one person that you can go after. The next is the people who are you're most likely to succeed with. Don't start with the hardest cases. Yeah. You're going to get discouraged really quickly. Right? So again, make sure you go out there and choose, people who you may have some success with, who are interested. Yeah. The interested party, right? And you don't want to talk at people. Talking at people, you're wasting your darn time. Right? So with those people, you live that, you be that light in their life, and you tell God, set the appointments, and they'll come to you. For the other ones, look around at you and say, okay, all right, I'm going to choose like Lauren. Lauren was my mission. I'll tell you exactly how I did Lauren. So for those
took
of
him
you guys,
way longer than he expected.
Yeah, way longer, but I succeeded. Did I not succeed?
He did.
Right. So when I met Lauren, I was going through a crisis of faith. And after a little bit of dating with Lauren, I said, hey, I'm going on a path. I have to decide if I'm going back to God or I'm going to be agnostic again. And Lauren said in her head,
well, so he said, will you explore this with me to see where I'm going to end up, and maybe you'll learn something too. And I said, sure. Because I was convinced that I was going to get him back to my side, which was there's no God. And I was going to win.
Yeah. So anyway, we started that journey together. Now, from there, I made a lot of ground. I got back in. I got spirit filled. I went to ORW, Operation Restored Warrior. Great program, great people, and got a lot of healing there, and got spirit filled. I continued to rack up solid Christian mentors around me. People who really cared about me, who, wouldn't let me stay as I was. They were constantly working on me, praying for me, and investing in me. It takes time. If you're wondering why you're not getting anyone to Christ, it's because you're too darn busy and you're not willing to go to a ball game with them. And I'm not that anyone goes to a ball game, or go, to the gym, or hang out, or go have a beer or coffee and get out of your own darn way. Go spend time with them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like today, I got in my car, right, and I had a 3-hour drive, 90 minutes each way, and I literally got on my phone and I was burning it up the whole way, talking to people that I haven't talked to, touching bases, maintaining contact, and some of them were my mentors, and others were people I'm mentoring, and others were just regular people, right? But the whole time I am trying to move the ball forward.
Yeah. Yeah, you're great at that.
And that's something that we all have to do. So, so you've got your people that you're working on. You've chosen your people you're working on. And now how do you turn it on to them?
Yeah.
Like how do you do this? So like with Lauren, as I was talking about, I knew that Lauren was Lauren is literally the most logical thought person I know. She is logic incarnate. And so I knew exactly what I needed with her. It's what won me over. It was a book called I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. And it is packed full of facts and science and a million other things. So I immediately went out, bought a copy of that, and I gave it to Lauren and said, read this.
Yeah, and so I think it's a book that is very effective. So if you're dealing with an atheist, or I would say also if you are trying to convert someone from a different religion, so they already have a mind that's open to the idea of
You think it would be as effective as that? I never looked at it through that lens.
I think so as well, because they address, at least there's a section
The
in it. Authenticity?
There we go. Holy tongue twist.
That they all can't be right. And so if it's going through and proving that Christianity is right, then that means that the other ones are not. And so it addresses that. I remember that chapter in the beginning talking about that. So I think if they are willing to read that book and see all of the justification and truth behind Christianity, then they also could make that connection to that what they've been believing might not have the legs to it that they thought.
Right. So, having tools like this for the unique situation. So every person's different. Once you learn how to read people, or if that's a skill, your EQ, your emotional intelligence, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of different names for it. You'll understand that people tick in different ways. Mm-hmm. So I would say I don't have enough faith to be an atheist is the rational way. And this also worked with Monty. He started with that book. And then the emotional piece is the chosen.
Yes, now that is a wonderful tool.
Right?
Yeah.
So the chosen, you sit down and you're dealing with a feeler type. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to show them the chosen, because the chosen is literally the most visually powerful, emotional masterpiece out there on introducing someone to Christ that I've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And so that was not
Brandy,
around when you were working on me, but that...
No.
I certainly would have loved to watch that. But I'd say for a personality like mine, there are some, this is kind of the how-tos and the how-not-tos.
Can I finish what I was?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then, so the next thing I did with Lauren was I got a bunch of our mutual friends mm-hmm. that we were seeing all the time, that we had stuff in common that we liked, and I made a small group that was fun. right? So we would come together in a small group. We would drink tons of wine, and we would have a good time. And it was a social time, and it was a way for us to talk about the Bible and work through each other's problems. That was a blast. I mean, I still think back fondly at those times. I miss that small group, or I miss a small group like that so much.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
I mean, we saved marriages in that. A lot of great stuff happened, and we eventually got you saved. So that's the end of my story, except that, I was getting frustrated with how long it was taking Lauren to do this. I'm like, I've spent all my rounds here. What am I doing? So the last one was reverse psychology. I'm like, you're done. You're not. You're never going to do that.
You were doing reverse psychology.
You're never going to do that. And that's all. I should have done that like a year earlier. And I'll show you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so I do recall that you were feeling out kind of what is the best way to approach this with me. And there was a few things that you tried that did not go so well.
Yeah. And
some of them were going to churches, and especially churches that you weren't all that familiar with either. And there were a few that I went to that I was just so uncomfortable, because at that point I was not really a solid foot into switching over to being agnostic or a believer, and just how they conducted the services and the things that they were saying, that it made me very, very uncomfortable. So if you're going to try to bring them to church, have a really good grasp on what that church, who that pastor is, what they generally talk about, and also know when the right timing is, because it might be just too soon to kind of throw someone into that environment if they haven't worked through some other pieces yet. And then
that's a great one. So again, I don't want to drive that home for you guys. If you're going to bring someone to a church, you better know the church. Now, and there are some churches that you can be like, hey, like the church you may want them to end up in may not be the first one you go to. Like, I don't think you would accept a Calvary Chapel as easy with Ken your first day.
Well, I mean, no, probably not, because, I mean, because there's the things about the Bible that are a little harder to believe or to grasp.
Yep.
And he, dives straight into them, and, as all truth. And so coming from the atheist perspective of there's a lot of crazy stuff in the Bible, seeing someone talk with such conviction about that, I think I would have been skeptical about. Now I'm 100% in on it, but in the beginning I would have been like, I don't know about this. I think the fact that there are so many sermons online now is a better place to start, instead of bringing them into the environment where they're getting kind of all of that experience. Having them just hear the word in an environment that they're more comfortable in, and then they're not getting all of the other influences of that. I think just saying, sending them, hey, this is about this. I know. So if you have someone, and this actually was great as part of our small group, we were helping people who were struggling in their marriage, but we were new in ours. And so I was very interested in learning tools on how to have a better marriage, or, for when we hit the bumps. We hadn't had any yet. And so I so enjoyed listening to sermons about marriage and reading about how to handle marriage as a Christian. And I said, if this is how Christians do marriage, I love the sound of this. So if this is how Christians do it, I can get on board with this. And so going after a specific issue that your person you're mentoring is struggling with, whether it's marriage, whether it's an addiction, whether it's XYZ, finding good sermons that address that specific issue so that they can say, this tool worked for me. And then they say, okay, what else does Christianity offer?
Right.
That's a good way to kind of get a foot in the door on that.
So what were some of the sermons that helped you? I know Tim Keller from Redeemer Church has been big. It was Ravi Zacharias. Any help at all? I
didn't really listen to much of him in the beginning. Okay. I know that there was someone who tried turning me on to one of the mega church people, and it didn't really resonate. Didn't really resonate. I think the two that really stick with me are the two Tim Keller ones that I've referenced before, and it's the marriage one from Tim Keller and the anger one from Tim Keller, because those are both things that I could relate with, and I could immediately apply those teaching points in my life in a practical way. And when I could see that, okay, this works for me, then that opened me up a lot too.
Yeah, and I think when you're choosing sermons that you're going to send to people, different people, like I would not send Ken Graves stuff to a beta personality or to a female who is searching faith. He doesn't ring as true to that. Now I send his sermons all the time to fellow SEALs.
Well, and he incorporates so many politics as well. So if you have anyone who's not completely in line with the political view, then they're going to be turned off by that part, and they're not even going to get to the biblical part.
Right.
So
again,
on who you're working on.
Your best favorites may not be the best for the cause. And you should build a library of go-tos that because your friends are going to have problems and your family members are going to have problems all around. And having a go-to list that you can send to people can really help them in a dark time, whether it's losing a child, dealing with death, all the hard ones, sickness, cancer, bad things happening in the world, like 9/11 or earthquakes or tsunamis or whatever, right? Wildfires, there's just so many topics out there and there's such a wealth of resources right now. You should have them pretty much, loaded up in your armory of spiritual warfare and for helping your friends who are in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. And the one other thing that didn't work well for me is you kept trying. I think you kind of were testing to see where I was, and you would ask if I wanted to say a prayer, say grace for dinner, or, if something was struggling, say a prayer about it, or can we pray together? And I wasn't there yet, and the praying part made me uncomfortable as well.
Yeah.
And so I would kind of shut down or get angry when you would ask that. And I felt like that was pushing it. And so again, it's knowing.
It's just so strange to me because you're an atheist. What does it harm? You're just mumbling to the sky.
But I think it's that. I mean, you know me. I don't like talking out loud anyways. Saying things on the spot is not my cup of tea.
Our house, if I didn't start conversations, would be a whole lot of
so zen.
Yeah.
Quiet.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
Comfortable quiet. Not awkward quiet. Comfortable quiet. But I think I was going through probably at that stage of it. I guess I don't know if cognitive dissonance would be the right word.
I think it is exactly, and that was my point.
But that I was starting to leave, because this was after reading the I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. So I'd say I was leaving the atheist part, but I was not comfortable yet with the concept of leaving that behind and committing to being a Christian. And so that I was in that awkward in between and not necessarily happy about it, but I was very confused I was conflicted about kind of what was going on, kind of how I was feeling about it. And so the praying
spiritual
was
warfare. Somebody was hanging on to you.
Yeah, the praying part was was pushing me past my comfort zone. But then I got just stubborn in it.
Yeah. Imagine that.
EBC, I don't know what to say.
For those of you who don't know, EBC stands for Eve's Be Crazy. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's why I try to fill the quiet in our house, because otherwise it's just going to be you with all those voices in your head.
Lucky him. It's a scary place.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes I'll come in the room and I'll just see Lauren and she'll be just, I'm just kidding. Having conversations with herself.
Yeah.
Not so much. She does that in the woods when she goes to frolic with the dogs. That's what you do down there.
I have the multiple voices in my head.
Yes.
You're making me sound
That's where that Boston accent is. Like when you do it, like does one have a Boston accent and one doesn't? And if so, what's the?
I don't torture myself. No.
All right. So what? What else? So again, just understand that everyone's going to require a little bit something different. All right, and the way you're going to know that is by having a good relationship with them, and by getting vulnerable and letting them know that you've gone through struggles too. You know, one of the things that I think that we are okay that we say in this program is that I struggle with some stuff in the Bible. I really, really do. You know, and you know, the old me, the atheist me, is like, no, I need to understand everything from cover to cover, or else I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And instead, I've gone to, you know what? I understand a vast majority of it, and there's some things that I'm working through, and God is working on me to understand those.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I think that is the key to you know, choosing the right person and how to start off your mentoring process. You know, again, I can't overstate the fact that if you suck and are a mess, no one's gonna want to be you. You know, and for our bro there, Incognito, who said, pretty sure Jesus didn't walk around deciding who sucks at life and turning them away. No, he said, if you got a plank in your eye, don't talk about the speck of dust in your friend's eye.
It's not turning them away, but
it's not turning them away. It's calling them out and saying you got no business discipling other people. It's like, go get discipled by somebody, not turning them away from Christianity because they're a mess. It's just saying you don't want to lead someone astray by bringing them into your mess.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
so anyways, what else you want to talk about tonight, Lauren?
I think that was wrapping up what we had planned. So do you know if Ken's going to be on Wednesday?
I have not checked with him, but
He's been doing a lot of traveling.
Yeah, well, I know he was traveling back. He was just in, well, he was just
one of the cold places.
He was
He
just
was
in
the warm
Wyoming.
place and then went to a
He
cold
was in
place.
Wyoming, and then he went to North Dakota or South Dakota.
Oh, lucky him.
Yeah. So, well, that's all we got for everyone tonight. So we're going to pray. But before we do, we're going to pray for all of you out there as well as us. You can support us in several different ways if you found this content. One, you can like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our stuff. Two, you can buy some sweet merchandise that we have. You know, Lauren doesn't have hers on tonight.
Didn't wear.
Epic
No,
fail.
it needs a bath.
Yeah.
I only got one, and my Strength and Honor hoodie is awesome, and it's been worn frequently.
Yeah. It can walk on its own now.
So it is going to be ready for Friday.
Yeah. So that's another way. Our Patreon account, you know, helping us out there is another one. Another way you can do it is by going to our podcast channel or podcast on iTunes and giving us a 5-star rating there. And then again, just staying plugged in and you know, again, being part of this community. So without further ado, Lauren, you want to pray us out?
I knew you were going to do that.
Uh-huh.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity to sit here together tonight and share our lives once again with those of you who tune in to our show. We are so grateful for the time that you spend with us. And Lord, please come into each of our hearts and help us reflect inward to see areas that we might need mentoring ourselves. And if we feel strong enough in our belief and in our convictions, that we reach out into the people who are in our lives and see who we can help to bring them closer to you, strengthen their foundation and belief in you, or bring someone who doesn't even know you at all, which is the ultimate goal, bring them to know you, Lord, and help us feel confident in that walk and convicted that that is what we are called to do. And Lord, please just bring health and peace to all of everyone who's joined us tonight, and we are so grateful for the hand that we feel on our shoulders, that we know that you're with us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Great job. All right, everyone. We love you. God bless.
Good night.